Disclaimer, I do not dislike CinemaSins, and that is not a lie. For my next Everything Wrong with CinemaSins video, I'm going to be sending their video on the Iron Giant. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Doherty5885, link in the description below. Enjoy the video. For starters, you're getting 150 sins for singing this fantastic classic.
Okay, riding your bike down this hilly road seems fun, but you gotta remember the steep-ass, grueling climb to get up there in the first place. Big picture, people. Big picture.
As someone who loves biking, I agree that biking up hills is exhausting, but that's still not a sin.
Haha, Bird Landing. The only more obvious movie reference to its director is Alfred Hitchcock's cameo in The Birds when he came on screen and kicked Hippie Hedren in the shin.
Jeremy says something random cliche.
Also, could the beginning of this movie be any more Beauty and the Beast? Hell, when Hogarth was biking down the hill, I half expected the townsfolk to throw open their windows and say, Bonjour!
First, this movie takes place in America, not France. Second, Mr. Stutz was laughed at because the men didn't believe his story. Not that they think he's funny. Also, you misused your punctuation again.
I'd like to apologize to everyone in advance for this.
Why'd Dean whip out his Chippendales right in front of everyone instead of running outside? Or, like, the bathroom?
Probably because the squirrel being in his pants was getting to a breaking point for him.
Stupid antenna.
Holy shit, Hogarth scales this roof easier than a shirtless Brad Pitt.
All he did here was jump from the window to the tree.
This is a great reveal, but what the was the Iron Giant looking at before he turned his head? The power plant is right there.
Here's a possibility. He hadn't seen it until he turned his head.
The power plant has a giant singular on-off switch, and Hogarth not only knows this, he locates it with ease.
He only knows about it because he noticed it when looking around for a way to help Giant.
So Hogarth's instincts are pure here. He wants to stop another being from suffering. But what if the Iron Giant wasn't so friendly? Or so friendly? What if he'd been 100% hostile? And Hogarth saved him from certain death by electrocution? That would make Hogarth kind of a dickhead, no? Historically speaking? What I'm saying is history will judge your actions and their outcomes, not your motives.
This sin is making you the dickhead, Jer, since the Giant is friendly, and I'm giving you 10 sins for saying that.
I'm not in the mood.
Thing my college girlfriend said to me so often, she eventually had it printed on business cards. Yep.
Jeremy says something random cliche.
Oh, I know Hogarth's mom was all...
I'm not in the mood.
when he was trying to tell her about the Giant before, but he's literally standing right behind them now. Just tell her to stop the car and turn the hell around, man.
Hogarth wouldn't have done that because when he tried to tell Annie, she yelled at him, not being in the mood.
So why is he only eating half of everything? Is that car not good enough for the Iron Giant? That's American made, hombre.
Here's another possibility. Giant took a bite out of Kent's car and didn't finish eating it because he heard people coming.
Dude, I hate to belabor this point, but look at what the ground just did. Tell me again how this motherfucker is sneaking around eating government automobiles without anyone noticing.
Because Hogarth and Annie are the only ones who live near the woods, which is where Giant currently is.
I'm a giant robot. I am now the luckiest kid in America. This is unbelievable.
Is the Giant seriously bored by Hogarth's hemming and hawing here? He's only had like 30 minutes of human contact, and he's already getting tired of their bull. Damn, dude, try getting through an episode of The View.
Where do you see that he's bored? He looks engaged in what Hogarth's talking about, Mr. I Can't See the Obvious.
Movie becomes ultimately responsible for the production of the Cloverfield Paradox.
Jeremy says something random cliche.
Holy portion sizes, Batman! Would you look at how much mac and cheese Mom made for 2 people?
Yes, that's a lot of mac and cheese, but that's still not a sin.
Tomorrowland. Promise of things to come.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Brad Bird, George Clooney, Damon Lindelof, huge budget, and yet...
Bringing up the cast of a completely different movie is not a sin of this one.
Do you have a telephone I could use?
Yes, there's one in the kitchen.
I know this is the 50s and all, but Rachel doesn't ask at all who this asshole is before inviting him into her house?
First, her name is Annie, not Rachel. Second, she may have heard Kent introduce himself to Hogarth.
Honestly, this is the stupidest hand since the dude that got killed just before Ned Stark took the job.
Jeremy says something random cliche. And also, just to be nice, I'll make an exception and only give you 1 sin. Just this one time.
You're hungry, aren't you?
A robot's tummy probably doesn't rumble, even if he does, for some reason, need to eat metal now and then. This is just weird anthropomorphizing to make us like the Iron Giant more.
While Giant is more than a robot, he is a metal man who has human characteristics, and a tummy rumble is in that category.
Paint things on the window or parking tickets, but I legit thought they were the bare feet of love-making teenagers the first time I saw this movie. So when Hogarth tells Iron Giant to eat the car and then the car gets towed, I was like panicking.
3 things. 1, that's on you, not the movie. 2, 2, no one needed to know that. And 3, Jeremy says something random cliche.
God, this restaurant being advertised is called Cosmo Burger, so that a saluting robot on the billboard would make complete sense to anyone only casually looking. Like, if this had been Circus Burger, they'd have been discovered instantly, right?
I think the fact that Giant is from space makes more sense, not the fact that he is a giant metal man.
Hey, I know you.
Man, Harry Connick Jr. sure was the Matthew McConaughey of the 90s, wasn't he?
Pretty sure he was the Harry Connick Jr. of the 90s.
This is espresso.
Giving a child espresso. God, even a junkyard artist would know better.
Well, you cut out parts that prove this sin wrong. Here's the whole scene.
Coffee's fine. Yeah, I drink it. I'm hip.
I don't know. This is espresso, you know? It's like CoffeeZilla.
I said I'm hip.
You ever in your goddamn life owned a bathrobe strong enough to support your full weight up in the air like this without you slipping through and falling to your certain maiming? No, you have not. I'm sorry to answer for you, but we're on a time crunch here.
This is a fictional bathrobe, my dude.
Going to destroy it before it destroys us!
This shake shop is packed, but no one says shit about the gigantic adult loudly threatening the tiny child.
Well, this is the 1950s. Hey look, you even said that yourself.
Do you have a telephone I could use?
Yes, there's one in the kitchen.
I know this is the 50s and all, but Rachel doesn't ask at all who this asshole is before inviting him into her house? The Iron Giant's still biting cars and silos on farms when he has a junkyard to feast on, or all these pre-junkyard attacks. Movie doesn't care, so why should I?
You have answered your own question. They are pre-junkyard attacks. I mean, I figured that out every time I see this movie. How do you not get that?
Where is it? What? You know darn well what?
Why didn't Mansley at least try to confirm the existence of this robot before calling in the army? Like, he's been shown to be a pretty dedicated investigator, and he had actionable intelligence about the junkyard, but he didn't want to check for himself even when Hogarth was knocked out?
Based on his car getting eaten, the report from the train conductor, the photo, and what Hogarth told him, Kent is most likely already convinced.
You'll be chief inspector of subway toilets by the time I'm finished with you.
Is that a real army position? Or NSA or whatever? Don't they just hire janitors or make privates clean the bathrooms? And then maybe someone checks the work, but is there a chief inspector?
Pretty sure it's just a joke, Jer.
It was defensive.
Well, yes it was, but why was it so defensive to a toy gun? Did the toy manufacturer get too close to the real thing when designing an alien gun? Does any gun set off the giant? What about a rubber band gun? Finger guns? My point is, the gun set it off so it was defensive is yada yada harder than whatever Elaine skipped over in order to mention the lobster bisque.
Well, whatever Giant sees as lethal sets off his defense mechanisms.
Giant, come back!
Wait, when did we decide his name was Giant? I know, it's the name of the movie, but we didn't get one of those scenes where Hogarth was like, what should I call you? So what gives? Hell, Peter had a whole 10-minute sequence with his suit in Spider-Man Homecoming before we figured out he was going to go with Karen.
Well, Hogarth is only a kid, and calling him Giant makes sense for someone like him.
The Giant's got the kid with him.
I'll take care of it. He says the monster's killed a kid.
First off, everyone heard that whole exchange, so how would Mansley be able to pull off this ruse?
Because Rogard was farther away from him, so he wouldn't have heard it.
Why are they not chasing the giant robot? They have cars and trucks and tanks and and that asshole should be super easy to track.
Because the army was stopped by Dean.
You can fly?
Oh sure, his mom all of a sudden can follow Hogarth down to the end of the town, but no one else can. Also, I guess she suddenly gives a
Two sins. One, because Dean didn't prevent Annie from following them. And two, the phrase is all of a sudden.
The robot pass out. He's a robot. He doesn't even have lungs.
As I previously said, he is a metal man with human characteristics.
I've been pro-Iron Giant all movie, but he straight up murders innocent soldiers here. And yes, Mansley is evil and convinced the general to order military action, but still, most of these fools he's offing are just following orders. Murder is murder.
No, he didn't. They escaped the tanks before they were destroyed, which you literally show a scene of in this sin.
You want us to bomb ourselves in order to kill it?
I know, it's almost like he should be on the World Security Council from the Avengers.
Jeremy says something random cliche.
Gotta show them you're good.
The dear God, don't show them a screener of that Bloodshot movie, whatever you do.
Jeremy says something random again.
Walden, man. Make sure he stays here like a good soldier.
Nice to see Mansley get his comeuppance. But he also mentioned there's a fallout shelter nearby, and there's a goddamn nuke headed right to the town. Maybe direct the women and children that away, General, instead of being a smarmy butthole.
Two things. Fallout shelters do not protect from nukes, and General Rogard also said this.
There's no way to survive this, you idiot!
So yes, I'm tearing up a bit, but I'm also wondering, why didn't he try to Tony Stark that back up into space? Did he have to take a direct hit?
Even if Giant tried to throw the missile, it'd still explode in his hands.
Know anything about local government? You know it's a miracle the funds for this Iron Giant statue memorial were ever awarded.
Nope, Dean was the one who built this statue.
General sent this to you.
What is it?
He said it was the only part recovered. He thought you should have it.
What? The goddamn army decided a piece of alien tech wasn't important enough to research, so they sent it off to a rando kid in Maine.
Well, since Hogarth knew Giant the most, it makes sense for them to give it to him. And here's the end result, everybody. The sin total was 364, and the sentence will be Sinless Superman. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have a nice day.